Adecito, adecito, adecito.
Once upon a time, there was a knight named Don Quixote. He lived in a very quiet place in Spain, and he was a man who read a lot of adventure books. He liked them so much that he began to imagine that he himself was a brave knight. He would put on a suit of armor, ride his horse called Rocinante, and go out to help people. Don Quixote was not alone in his adventures. He was accompanied by his faithful friend Sancho Panza, a friendly man who rode a donkey named Ruccio. Together they traveled through the countryside, and Don Quixote, full of courage, saw the world in a very special way. He thought windmills were evil giants, so when he saw one, he went to fight it, but the wind knocked it down, and it flew away. Despite the strange things Don Quixote saw, he always wanted to do good. He helped the poor, defended the weak, and wanted the world to be a better place. But many times people did not understand his adventures and laughed at him. Sancho Panza always tried to explain things to him and followed him, even though he was not always sure what was going on. But through it all, Sancho and Don Quixote were great friends, and shared many laughs and lessons. One day, as Don Quixote and Sancho Panza were traveling through the fields, they saw what Don Quixote thought were evil giants. They were windmills, but Don Quixote, full of courage, thought they must be giants that they must defeat. He mounted his horse Rocinante and rushed into the fight, shouting, "To me, brave knights, today I will defeat these giants." Sancho Panza tried to warn him that they were not giants but windmills, but Don Quixote did not listen. He ran towards one of the windmills, threw his lance, and wham! The wind knocked him off his horse, leaving him on the ground. Although he was somewhat wounded, Don Quixote did not give up and continued to think that the giants were invisible, and that the wind had been the work of an enchantment. On another occasion, Don Quixote and Sancho Panza saw a group of men carrying a man tied to a tree. Don Quixote thought they were evil sorcerers, and that the captive man was a victim of a terrible enchantment. He decided to free the prisoner, not knowing that they were actually bandits. When Don Quixote confronted them, the bandits mocked him, but when they saw his bravery, they beat him and stole his spear. Despite the defeat, Don Quixote continued to believe that he had done the right thing. Throughout his adventures, Don Quixote constantly spoke of Dulcinea del Toboso, a lady he considered the most beautiful in the world, although in reality Dulcinea was a peasant girl named Aldonza. Sancho Panza, who did not understand why his friend thought Dulcinea was so special, told him made-up stories about her to make him happy. Don Quixote dreamed that she would recognize him as the bravest knight and thank him for his heroic deeds. After many other adventures, Don Quixote began to feel very tired and wounded. One day, after a fight with some actors who disguised themselves as knights and enchanters, Don Quixote was defeated and returned to his village. He was sad, for he thought he would never be the knight he had imagined himself to be. Sancho Panza tried to console him, telling him that the most important thing was to have fought to do good and to live according to his ideals, even if everything did not always turn out as he had hoped. Finally, Don Quixote, already exhausted, recovered his sanity and stopped imagining himself as a knight-errant. He reflected on his life and decided to live in peace, surrounded by his people and friends as a wise man full of life lessons. Although Don Quixote did not become the famous knight he dreamed of being, he left a great lesson to everyone: the importance of fighting for what you believe in, the courage to be yourself, and the goodness that should always guide our actions.
Si disfrutaste de esta adaptación, no olvides dar like y compartir este video.
Bye bye amiguitos, suscríbase al canal por favor y denle muchos me gusta. Bye bye.